Hello and welcome. Today here at CJ Paste we'd like to go over some frequently asked questions just to give you an idea of some of the things that people ask and you haven't got to try and work them out. For those that don't know me, my name's Wayne. I'm the owner, maker, user, Dog's Body at CJ Paste. So I know it intimately. I've been using it now for nearly 7 years, I suppose, since we've started making it, and use it periodically as I need it on frame. So I'm finding it great. It came about purely because there was nothing here in Australia like it. I was using putties. I got sick of polished corners. When you were rubbing it off, it was greasy. It transferred to the customer's hands, cars, all those things when they put them in. That's the putty, that is, not the CJ Paste. I looked for something that dried hard and permanent, yet was easy to apply and that. So let's look at some of these frequently asked questions to keep moving. So first one, what shelf life does CJ Paste have? Well, I pass on to our suppliers and customers. I recommend 2 years. Now if you've got the cap on, and the cap closed and then stored, I recommend with cap down so the tube faces upwards. That's for best life. I'm still using tubes that I started playing around with 6 and 7 years ago. They haven't been treated well. They lay on their sides. The caps are half closed because they get a little bit of a crustiness built up where you squirt it out. They're still usable. They are slightly thicker than what they were, but still usable. So I say 2 years, but you should get more out of them if you need be. Okay, question number 2. Does CJ Paste dry the same colour as it comes out of the tube? The answer is no, other than white. White will stay the same colour. All the other colours dry 2 to 3 shades darker. So whatever colour you see come out the tube, expect it to dry darker. So the white stays white, but yeah, the others you can expect it, which is unusual. Things normally go lighter when they dry. The paste goes darker. Okay, next question. How does it handle extreme temperatures? That's in heat and cold. We had this question because I had some from Canada wanting to know, if it was frozen in transit, what happens there. So to test this, we stuck it in the freezer, which is about minus 18 degrees centigrade for a fortnight, and then pulled it out, let it thaw, and it's been perfectly fine. We still have that tubes using, that's fine. As far for heat, when we had that question, we tried the reciprocal of how does it handle high temperatures. Now, I actually sat it on a black board in a black tube in full sunlight at 40 degrees centigrade day, so a little bit over 100 Fahrenheit. We left it there for 6 or 8 hours, and other than the paste being very hot, there was no significant changes. So it should last us 2 years, but temperature and that's still good. Okay, next question. Where is CJ Paste made? It's made here in Australia and it's shipped to our suppliers. There are in various locations or available directly from us. So if you order from our online store, be aware that it can take a little while to get to you coming through the system. It's been fairly good, the postal system. So hopefully that keeps going. There is a bit of a delay over Christmas and New Year, but that's pretty standard for busy holiday times. Next question, does it stay wet? If it's applied thinly, no, it dries really quick, and I mean in minutes. Applying thinly, if you have a large gap that you try and fill and put a large quantity in, it will stay wet for a considerable time. It takes a long time to dry. It will dry, but it does take a long time. So if you're doing a small gap, bit of damage on the frame, you can just a very thin layer and let it dry. If you have something a bit bigger that needs a little bit more filling, apply several or multiple small applications and letting it dry in between. It could be days for it to dry. if you leave it really thick. As in, if you squirt it out of the tube and leave it on the bench, it might get a crust on it, but it will be still damp inside for quite some time. So lots of little applications are far better than one big one. It works really well. So, okay, how do I clean up any excess? Okay, cleanup can be done with a cloth or a facial tissue. You can moisten it and just wipe it off. Currently I'm just using facial tissues, and I'm wiping it, putting it on, and then just wiping it nearly straight off. I'm not leaving it to dry a little bit, which was how I originally recommended. So put it on, wipe the surface. If there's any residue left on the surface, you can see it to, a little bit. You can see where it is, not anything, but just a very lightly dampened cloth. I mean lightly dampened. You can't wring it out or anything else, and then just wipe it across the top, and that will remove any residual that's left on the frame. Does the frame become shiny after cleanup? Well, I mentioned earlier, speaking there about the putties. Great product, but you put them on, and when you try and get the excess off, quite often, especially on black frames, you end up polishing corners. Even white frames, you can see them, they come up shiny from where you pushed it off. Don't have that issue with the CJ paste. Don't apply huge amounts of pressure, because I'm sure you can get it to polish it if you really want to work on it. But just lightly do it, wipe it off fairly quickly. It doesn't get a chance to dry, and because it's not so thick and waxy, you don't to have anywhere near the force to do it. So what else have we got? Next question. Can I mix colours? Definitely. You can mix any of the CJ Post components together to make a different colour. It's acrylic based, so if you want a different, well, say you want a grey, I'd start with a white and put a small amount of black. A little bit of colour goes a long way when you're adding to them. So you can make greys. Any of the other colours can be mixed together. If you've got a different colour frame, say a red, for example, which we don't do one for, and you're looking for something, you can mix the white with some red acrylic paint, just the artist paint. Mix it with that, and you can get the different colours. It may take a bit to get to it, and if you add too much, it may affect the actual drying and body of it. But small amounts work really well. So if you've got pink frames and that, you can work with those. But no, definitely you can mix them together. Question: why does the tube not appear to be full? There are times when you get your tube and you think it's not full. I've paid for 50 mil, I haven't got it. The reason is the tubes actually hold 70 mil, not 50. And we aim at supplying somewhere between 50 and 55 mil. So sometimes they're fuller than that, depending on the machine, has its little hissy fits at times. But so you will get more, but you shouldn't get less. And we normally go by weight more than how full the tube is. We aim for most of them a minimum of 70 grams. 70 grams is our normal cutoff. If it's got less than 70, I'll top them up. The different colours actually weigh differently. Gold and the champagne are heavier than black and white. Must be something in the bits for those, but they are actually heavier. But yeah, so you should have more than 50 mil in each tube. As I said, the tubes hold 70 mil, so there's, what's that, 20, the tube's in about nearly 30% bigger than what the capacity is, so there can be a little bit of dead space in the top. Periodically there might be an air bubble come through, which does upset things, but I normally catch those as I'm filling them. Okay, question: can I apply to any other surface coating? Can I apply another surface coating to the paste? Yes, you can. It accepts most coatings. You can paint over it, you can sand it, you can stain it, although it doesn't readily accept stain. You can stain over it, you can lacquer over it, but yeah, I have found that the stains don't get absorbed into it. It closes off and you don't get that absorption into it to change the colour, or it doesn't absorb it to the same rate as what you're applying stains to. So stains, sort of, For other surface coatings, yes, you can paint over them, you can gild over them if you want it, you can sand it, you can scrape it. That's all fine. Okay, next question. How do I clean up tools, etc.? Clean up, like all of it, is done with water. You can wash your hands off with water, your scrapers, paintbrushes, anything like that. Your cleaning cloths can all be wiped down with water. It's water-based. Word of caution, if you do get it on your clothes, it does stain and it does stay in there. So once it's dry, if it's wet you can get it out, but if it dries on your clothes, it is, well, it's permanent. So the colour in it must stain the fabric, or the cotton shirts that I wear anyway, or shorts, everything, the cottons. I'd say the colour in the paint base, the base colour, actually stains the fabric and it doesn't come out. If you can get it off while it's wet, it's fine, but any other surface, clean up with water. So I'll warn you about clothing, just be warned about that. Next question, how much do I apply? As stated before, apply a really thin coating. The less is better, and you may have seen in some of my other videos, it's just a tiny little amount on the finger, it goes a long way. But even if it's a bigger gap that you're trying to work with, if it's a big gap, you probably need to look more at your machinery settings, whether it's your clamps, your saws and things, and get that sorted out, than try and keep touching up large gaps. There are times though, example, I get chops done, and there are times that they don't match up properly for whatever reason, and it's a bit wider than you'd expect, other than just a small gap. So you apply just a tiny amount into that gap, let it dry, and wipe it off so there's no residue on the surface, and do the same again, and just keep going until you've built that up, until you've got it. I said if it's a really large gap, you probably need to start the frame again. It's not made for doing large gaps. So word there. Question, what is the drying time? Okay, through most of the year, I mean in summer it dries within, well, if I say 1 to 2 minutes, with a thin application, would be nearly overstating it. In winter, it takes a little bit longer, depending on how warm your workshop is, and how much humidity you've got. That comes into it too. So, but again, still only a couple of minutes for a thin application. And I said to keep emphasising thin, small applications, not large ones. Questions? Please email, message me on this, let me know. I hope that answers some of your questions. And there we go, trip over my tongue. And going forward, I've stated in another video, we're going to try and do a few newer videos, but a lot of it will be on framing. Most of you are framers that are viewing this, so let's go back and see if I can pass on some of my knowledge. It will be a way of doing it. There are multiple ways to do any framing job, so that's where I plan to go. So if you would like to see more, please like, subscribe to the page. That way you'll get updates when the new videos come through. If you've had any comments, you can leave them on here, or you can email, message me through the website, and we'll get back to you that way. So thank you for dropping in, and we'll hopefully have a new video shortly. Have a good day.